love Providence so much, and it is unfortunate that sometimes you have to stick up for it.
And he decided to go and join Davey at his new club called Alchemy.
We sold so far past the capacity that I didn't even tell the agent. All right, we're on
better than yours.
Damn story.
We're talking about how legendary those fucking
Simons, yes, that's
Free
Simon.
shows.
Oh yeah, so we
free
did
shows.
the free shows, and obviously at that point Simon was like, "I'm in fully." You know what I mean? Like, let's do whatever we're doing. Like,
I mean,
this
how
is
could you
sick.
not be in
Like, blah blah
fully?
blah. Like, whatever the case may be. So we did that, and then I just ran with it, man. I just started fucking organizing shows, and we were doing tickets back then. We were always doing tickets. People would just be given tickets and be told to please don't show up with less than 5 tickets. Usually back then, that was literally what anybody who was back there with us at the time will tell you, that it really was like, if you can't sell 5 tickets, please just don't even build yourself a little bit more before you. It's like 350 cap venue. You know what I mean? Like, got to put a lot of people in it. I felt like that was fair, but it was other promoters that I don't think I'm going to mention names today.
I think you should do it.
I think you should
But
too.
before you
No,
do, I
don't
have a
think-
question
I don't
for
think
you.
I should. I don't think I
Why?
should.
Well,
I think
hold on,
everybody
hold on,
who
why?
knows anything knows who the people that were in that building, other than me, that could have been doing some shiesty shit, and it's very obvious.
You built up this whole negativity thing to be all fucking negative.
No,
and now
no.
we're getting to the
The
negative parts.
negativity is the rant at the end about this current music scene.
What's going on, party people? This is Nick D from the Mighty Fall coming in hot from the cockpit of my day job. Just a little quick show promo here from our good buddies in Annihilus Mundi, very cool progressive death metal band from the New England area. Dan and Noah from the band wanted to be on the show. We couldn't make it happen with the editing and release schedule that we have, so just making sure that we get the word out about this gig here. They are opening up for Septic Flesh February 28th at the Worcester Palladium. That's a great get for them. Very cool. So if you are planning on hitting that gig and you haven't gotten a ticket yet, make sure you reach out to them or any other locals on the bill, as is always the case with Palladium shows. You'll save a little money. You'll help the locals out. That's what we're all about here. So I got to go before somebody steals my catalytic converter. Love you guys. Be good.
Explain to me how each serving of this is 0 calories, but somehow it ends up being 10 by the end. If it's 0 calories, 0 calories, 0 calories,
Wait, is there a point?
it doesn't add up to 10. 0 does not add up
What is
to
the
fucking
star?
10, man.
What is the
How
star?
do you know
right
you're
there?
bad?
Let's tell us the secrets.
That means that it's of your daily value, and then that's telling you what daily value means. That means roughly 2,000. But if it's all 0,
magic.
why come it's 10?
Well, make sure you don't drink a whole container.
That's too late. I already did.
So Nick, it's a sodium in it. That's why. That's why.
Okay, there you go. Brainiac over here.
Dr. Ruggiero to the rescue. Thank you very
Another
much.
scary thought.
We gotta
I
get,
know.
We gotta get Krug
Anyway.
in here for a
Oh,
podcast.
boy. Yeah, we do.
He's
You
got
sure
a lot
about
of.
that?
He's got a lot to say.
He does. For better or
I could
worse, he's
talk
got
to
a
him.
lot to say.
I could definitely talk to him. That'll be an interesting one.
He's
There'll be
fun.
a lot.
I like
he
him.
is fun.
All right.
What a guy.
Let's
Shout out Big
let's,
Joey.
Let's keep going down.
Simon. So
So you were going to name some names.
yeah.
So at this point,
I'm trying to trick
like, oh man. Okay, so
Let's do it.
So
Dude.
basically,
It's been like 15 years. Who gives a shit?
I mean, there was people that were doing forced presale for sure. And honestly, it's the people that. Oh man, come on, man.
It's been like
come
15
on,
years.
man.
Who
Who is
fucking
doing forced
cares?
presale, bro?
Just do it.
Like sending people to their bank accounts for money and shit like that isn't cool. And I've never thought that was cool. And I've never sat there in my entire career, is all I will say, and told a person to go to their bank account and take money out to
Oh,
cover
that's
anything.
shiesty as fuck.
I never would, and that would really like make me feel like a bad person. And I've seen people do that to bands, and I've tried at those moments to stand up for said bands. You know what I mean? But I guess some say a deal's a deal's a deal. Maybe early in my early days of Rambudikon, I might have felt the same way. Maybe like the first 2 years. You know what I mean? But never done that. Never.
That's
send them
like
to their bank account.
that's like
You know what I mean?
That's like a whole new level of like.
I feel like I remember.
I've seen
I remember
it happen,
faces,
and
but I can't think of anybody's
You
names.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's going to solve anything for me to blow up people's spots. So it's some that maybe still booking in the scene. You know what I mean? And I mean, the hints are there, and you know who was involved around me at Simon's if you were there at the time. And I'm sure you could take some guesses and say some names for yourself. But you know,
I couldn't. I wouldn't.
I'm really bad at names.
But I mean, like, if anybody else wants
I mean,
to,
there was
just
one
take a crack
promoter
at it.
at the time, Richard Collier, that was basically at the center of the big pay-to-play scandal. I don't know if you guys remember the big pay-to-play of 2012 or whatever it was, whenever it was. You know what I mean? The big pay-to-play push of 2012 or whatever it was. They were trying to demonize anybody that was handing any tickets to any bands. You were a thief. Whoever was playing for me back then, go up to them right now and ask them how their payouts were. No band left Simon's without their jaw dropping with their payout, being like, "Oh my God, you're paying us this much." Like, seriously, like that's how it was back then. Yeah, like because I was doing stuff that way. You know what I mean? And I was doing the right thing, and I was doing a transparent honor system. Good thing with bands where like we saw eye to eye, we talked about what the show did together, we were transparent, and we figured out a payout. You know what I mean? That got ruined by promoters that were sending bands to their bank account and making them cover their losses instead of me, who had money, and this was more of a hobby for me. So if I did have a loss, I just paid for it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't make bands go back to their bank accounts to cover the losses and things like that. I'm not gonna sit here and say that bands in my career haven't gone to their bank account and paid for tickets. That I didn't know of, that they told me we sold 50 tickets, and then I don't know, they bought 5 of them. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't tell them to do that. I don't condone that. I've made it clear I have plenty of, receipts and messages with plenty of bands where I say, word for word, I do not want you to buy any of these tickets. You know what I mean? Like, just sell what you can, get them to the people who are asking for them. Because how stupid are we of a band if we don't have tickets sitting in our hand for the people that are right around us that want to come to the show? You know what I mean? Like, you're saving fees, you're saving door fee. You know what I mean? Like, it only makes sense it just makes sense to have them, and it hurts the business, and it hurts shows that there was such a demonizing of that because of a few bad apples. The whole thing was kind of thrown out. The whole system, you know what I mean? Because like there is a system of it that works, and honestly, that is how it's been at the Palladium since I've never known, and it's always crowds there. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know anywhere else where you can go there consistently and see 100+ people there. You know what I mean? Like it's just it never fails. You know what I mean? I've been to plenty, and all of you have been to plenty of Providence shows that there have been counting 2 people there. You know what I mean? Like it's just. There's a difference when you not only do bands at that point have tickets in their hand to give to their fans, but they're thinking about it a little more. It's a little reminder sitting there next to you that you're playing a show next week. You know what I mean? Like talk to some people about it. Maybe a conversation starter. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody comes in your house and sees the tickets and is like, I want to buy those and support your.
Maybe somebody breaks into your house.
Why not? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to just not have them on hand if I don't tell you. Yeah, you have to sell this many. I've never said that. What have I said to you guys? I know you're bandmates, but I've always said do what you can. You know what I mean? Like it's all it is. The better we do, the bigger shows we'll probably get.
Yeah.
But like, why would a venue that's throwing a big show that needs to add a band to help the draw, and you know what I mean? Why would they add anybody that's not? You know what I mean? Like that's just it's a business in that side of it, and it's even coming from the national bands. Spoiler alert: the national bands hit us up and ask for a band that can draw a certain amount, or you know what I mean? That comes from the top. You know what I mean? Like it's not even we're put in weird situations. I've had so many shows where I've put a band on that I had no idea. I was like, I just told them do what you can. You know what I mean? And like the nationals are like, I hope this band is, you know what I mean? How's their ticket sales? Ask them how they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, but
thankless job.
Yeah, usually it always works out happy. You know what I mean? It always works out happy. I think that any agent and any person like me that sees a band take and receive tickets into their possession without like a big problem about just having them, and comes through and gives an effort and sells, maybe like 15 tickets or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it shows that, like, wow, like, you guys made an effort, you know what I mean? Like, I made these online sales in this door, and you guys all did your parts promoting, and we all came together, and it was a fucking banger show, like, every fucking time. Like, it's all hands on deck. It's all hands moving in the same direction on local shows. And if you don't have the bands behind you and trusting you, which has been a fucking wild ride, we're only in the middle, whatever the story, and I'm getting so far ahead of myself.
I want to help you out in a minute.
It's been a fucking wild ride trying to keep people on my side and invested and trusting and with the community feel that I've maintained for all these years, where you go to a Rambudikon show and you're like, okay, this is legit cool local show. Like, there's people here. Like, this is a good vibe. You know what I mean? Like, that's what. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. So Simon's. So, as everyone knows, I am
still on Simon's.
Well, I'm trying to get off
This
of
is where
it.
it gets really good.
Yeah. So, well,
This is where it
Simon.
gets really
Well,
good.
Simon's closed.
All right,
Did it
hold on.
close? It did. I don't know. So I don't
Hold on.
know.
Well,
Okay.
let's. We
there's
want to talk
still
about.
more?
Oh, it'll get really interesting.
Okay,
then.
then go ahead.
So, okay, let's glaze over the fact that. Okay, so I used Simon's. I didn't use Simon's, but like, I literally used Simon's to gain all my contacts and build them way up, because now they're all responding to me. I'm all the agents' radars. I can get an answer from any agent now, literally, still to this day, because of these times. You know what I mean? Like, I can talk to Dave Shapiro from Sound Talent or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he does A Day to Remember. Like, because of the fact that they want people who are in a legit setting. You know what I mean? And we'll get to that. Like, when I was at Alchemy, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a place and they respond well to that. It only helps you and it'll help you for life. That trust, that respect. Like, it's all about trust and respect in this industry. And I really love that about this industry. But because of that and the connections I built and how that blew up over at Simon's, I was able to pester the band, the Golden Band in New England that I wanted to book so bad, more than any band. And I was like, I feel like if I book this band, I finally like put my dent in New England a little bit. I was like, this is like a statement show. Like, I need to do this. Like, I was hitting up the agent, calling, having conversations with him, making friends with him. Like, I was doing anything I can with Cody DeLong, the man, just trying to get him to let me book Vanna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So bad. Like, what do I gotta do, bro? Like, I knew that they were the pinnacle band at the time. I've seen it. I've been to their shows. I've seen what it's like. I'm like, that. I would love to be the guy
Shout out
that
to my
like did
whole high
that.
school
You know what I
life.
mean? So, sure enough, he's like, listen, if you really want to do it, I'm gonna need like, $3,000 or whatever it was, $5,000, whatever it was. You know what I mean? I'm like, sure. Like, he's like, and you can't do it in Providence because Mike D is their guy over there. Like, Mike D, you're gonna mention this name. Mike D is gonna come out. I have nothing for fucking respect for Mike Delahunty. He owns What Cheer now, some other things. He was the guy that literally, he was a better promoter for most of my career, and nothing but respect to him. He did Lupo's in the Met, and he just he definitely shut down a lot of things that I was trying to do. Made it hard for me, but I think that just made me stronger. So it's like a weird, like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, we have nothing but respect for each other right now, and it's good, and it's good vibes, and I like it. And it's like, we should have just always been. But like, when you're in the heat of it, and like, I'm this independent promoter in Providence trying to make shit happen, talking to the same agents, trying to, it gets frustrating. It gets frustrating, and he could vouch, I'm sure, that it's just, you try not to make it personal, but it literally is all business, and it's good that it didn't matter. And when I see him around, it's all cool now and everything like that. But he's like, we can't go to Providence because Mike D, respect to that. The agents are very big on respect and loyalty, like I said. So I'm like, what about Wareham? I want to do this event. It's I did it last year at the 3065 Live. It's called Rambudifest. You know what I mean? And I was like, we did one and it sucked. So bad. And then I was like, I think Dead Ocean, Spies Like Us was on it. It was like a big mixture of bands, and like
Spies Like Us. Holy shit! I
Yeah.
haven't heard that name in so long.
it was crazy. And but like, we didn't really cover our nut, and we definitely lost money on that. Me and Brian. And I was like, listen, like, next one I gotta make it big. You know what I mean? So at this point, I was well in with my connections. I had hosted Lions. I had hosted, Our Last Night. I had hosted, Great American Ghost, whatever the case may be. The Venetia Fair at the time, really big. Hosted them a few times. I was in it. You know what I mean? I was in it. I knew what was going on. I knew who I needed to host. It was good times. And he agreed that he would do Rambudikon with me on a Saturday night at fucking the 3065 Live all day, kind of whatever, So I'm like, okay, I got Vanna now. Let's see who will play the fucking show now. You know what I mean? So I hit up Our Last Night, my buddies, right? And they're like, we'll play for a discount. You know what I mean? They played for a little less than they usually would because they knew Vanna was on it. I was like, oh, so this is cool. You know what I mean? Lions, yep. Venetia Fair, yep. Man, I'm so forgetting bands. Auburn was on it. Great American Ghost. So many bands were on this show, and all trophy-wise, all the bands were on this show, and it was like the show sold out at doors.
Hell yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
It's the first time I ever really sold out a show.
How many people were there?
300 something people probably, or maybe more. I don't know, 500. I don't know what it was.
That's a lot for that fucking venue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was awesome. I was backstage with the bands. I was helping with production. I was making sure the show went along. I was in it, and I was really feeling wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm making money. Making money. I sold this fucking place out. You know what I mean? This is sick. Nothing better than a show like that where everybody leaves satisfied. The bands are paid what they agreed to. The locals are paid what they agreed to. And you leave with what you have, and everybody's fucking just happy and transparent. And that's what that was like. That was one of the best. Rambudikon, I think it was 2013, was maybe one of the best shows I've ever thrown in my life, besides when I had Knock Loose and fucking...
Jesus.
And who was that other band that was with him that time? Oh, that was Acacia Strain and Knock Loose.
Yep.
That was a good one.
Yep.
But anyway, so that was the moment where I feel like everything just got crazy, and Bad Rabbits is good friends with all the guys from Vanna and all that, and I think they just kind of saw that I had worked with them, and one night I still lived with the Constance Alive guys, and it's 2013, whatever, right at the middle to end of Simons, and we're listening to this band called Bad Rabbits, and I'm like, have you guys heard Bad Rabbits?
I feel like I've heard that name before. I feel like I've heard you mention it before.
It's funk rock and roll, awesome.
No, that's Dead Rabbits. I was thinking.
No.
You're thinking
It's
of
really
Rabbits.
funky,
Yeah, the band,
dancey,
yeah.
really good music, really good music. Check out Bad Rabbits for sure. Nothing I was hosting, total drink and dance and smoke weed and all that kind of stuff. And so I hosted the band. No, I hit them up and I got them to agree to come play, and I hosted them, and that was sold out. And then I did it again, it sold out, and I did Ice Nine Kills, and there's one for you.
Yeah, no.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, it is.
Our Last Night.
No, I'm
Ice
zeroed
Nine
in, but
Kills.
I heard you.
And I remember during Our Last Night and Ice Nine Kills, I was in the basement of Simon's, and I thought the floor was going to collapse. Because it was so crazy up there. I was part of, I was there at Simon's for the Knock Loose show that got shut down because you fucked everything up. Edit that out, by the way. Yeah, I was there for the show at Simon's that got shut down because Knock Loose show got way too crazy before they played, and they never played. Yeah, Crazy Times Unearthed was crazy there. We did Shadows Fall, Outside Inside, sold out, 700 people. Yeah, we had that amazing Rambudikon with Vanna at Simon 677 outdoors, where it was filled outdoors to the brim. I don't know if any of y'all were there for that.
I might have
Trophy
been at that.
Wise was on
I was
it.
probably at that.
Heaters,
definitely
yeah,
don't remember
and
being
then
there.
yeah, Trophy Wise came up, and they really helped me out. I thank them very, very much. They were Psycho Circus, and they just decided they wanted to rebrand and all that shit, and they got together, got Pat Crowley, all that stuff, and they were really good, and they really helped me out because together we did good, transparent business together. I think Chris Paquette can vouch for that 100%, that we were seeing eye to eye. And he, of all people, knows exactly how I was doing things back then, like, for sure. If there's anybody that knows how I was doing business back in the day, is that man, because he was at the forefront of it, and he would, trust me, if I wasn't paying the man enough, he would have had something to say about it, and that's why he's a fucking peach, because he really does care about this scene. And I feel like he's one of the only other people, no offense to anybody, but he is like one of the only other people I know that cares about this fucking scene as much as I do, is that man. He's fucking done a lot for this scene too.
Oh yeah,
you all care for the scene too.
Yeah,
he just that guy just fucking
he's bent over backwards for it.
That's why I always will work with him for everything. But yes, they were doing like a good surge. You know, I was when I first started off and I was doing the earlier, just not to jump back real quick, like I was representing like Farewell Dreamer at the time. I forgot that whole period because so they helped me out. We sold out the Middle East together a few times upstairs. Back then the downstairs was so hard to book. It was so crazy. But we're moving on. And so Simon's, boy, really want to get into this right now?
Yes.
Dude, I am so fucking invested in this right now. If you stop this right, I might kill you. You keep going.
I need a blunt. Hold on. Okay, so if we're being transparent right now, and we're gonna just call it like it is. I don't know what the fuck happened. It still confuses me to this day that all I ever really did was pack that venue, Simon 6-7s, and all I ever did was pack that venue. Literally. Does anybody remember the Simons days in this room?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That place was fucking rocking out. There's no way that money wasn't been made at that club, but I was told that they were losing money on my shows and all this stuff that I knew was bullshit, because my shows were a big part of how that club got launched out. You know what I mean? Like that, we were a big part of it. The big festivals we did there, the Rambudikon Fest, the Crete Fest, everything. Like we were bringing national touring bands there. We were doing everything we could. Like there was it makes no sense to ever do that, but I have a feeling that, something was going on with the money over there. Because things can't be good for 2-3 years, then all of a sudden they're not. It's something didn't change, and it wasn't me that changed. It's only me that got better. It's only me that was drawing better and better and throwing better shows. So it wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Like I don't know what happened, obviously, but to me, from an outside perspective, it sounds like somebody was putting something in somebody else's ear and like trying to move in.
It's funny you say that. So one time I came into work and Mike D from the Matt and Lupos was there at Alchemy all of a sudden, and I noticed that he was coming around a lot.
Alchemy or Simons?
Simons, sorry. Was coming around Simons and visiting, and that was weird to me. And Davey Moore with him as well. And fact, I mean, me and Davey have talked about this, so it's not like I'm over here talking any shit. Respect for Davey. I've worked for Davey. We've squashed this shit since then, so this isn't a lingering thing. This is just me telling what happened, and Davey and Mike D came into Simons, and that's right around the time where shit started to get weird.
Do you want me to roll that blunt so you can talk, or
no? I'll get it.
All right.
So yeah, they came in and things got a little weird. Other perspectives were being whispered into Simon's ear. His vision of me was changing for some reason because of influences that were coming into the club. Megan, who I've talked to recently, is mad cool. Nothing but respect with her. We actually talked about all this recently and squashed everything, which is great. But me and her had problems. They were all coming for me and trying to push me out. And I didn't know why all of a sudden. And I felt it and I knew it. And then one day, Simon was like, we're going to need to have a meeting. Meet me at IHOP.
It's never good. That's never good.
Oh,
what
no.
What the fuck is up, Denny's?
Oh no, I'm gonna have an argument and diarrhea. No.
So
Jesus, show it Denny's fired at fucking IHOP.
I go to IHOP. I go to IHOP and listen. Going into this, I know my mentality going into this. And going into this meeting, I was the fucking guy, man. I was the one that was bringing all the fucking shit to fucking Simon's. I was the fucking on the side of Simon's. I sat on the same side of the table with Simon. We were a team. You know what I mean? Like we were doing this together. We were in this together, right? He sits down. He's on the other side with 2 open seats across from them with him and Davey Moore. And who's sitting in the opposite seat that's going to be sitting with me? Richard Collier. So he sits us down, tells us that we're now, that, you know, I'm an outside promoter or whatever the case may be now. And this is what it costs. And order whatever you want off the. He started with order whatever you want off the menu. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want anything. I'm not hungry. I actually have no appetite right now. I couldn't even eat anything if I wanted to. Like that. And they were like, okay. And I was like, what's good? What's the deal? You know what I mean? And they told me that they were going to start taking $500 off the top of every door I do. Literally. If the bar didn't hit like $2,000. And they were going to, basically taking $500 off the top. And then they were going to take a percentage of all the door sales, like legit, like no hand to the fucking Bible or whatever the case may be. They were going to take a percentage of the door sales too. And I think we all know that that's a raw deal. You know what I mean? I think that, like, you know, with everything that you guys saw happen at Simon's and that happened and we did there together, you know what I mean?
There's no way that
why am I getting this deal now? What's going on? Like, why am I getting this raw fucking deal? You know what I mean? And I felt so salty about it. I said, I was like, is this how it's going to be? Why am I sitting on the side of the table? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? Like, I'm out of here, bro. I was like, whatever. I was like, cool. I shook his hand. I went home. I really thought about it really hard. And I went out on the streets. And I fucking met up with Psycho, John DeFuccio. And he was at the time running the Firehouse 13. I said, listen, man, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he believed me, and he believed in me, you know what I mean? And he shouldn't have, and he couldn't have. And at the time, he was very hesitant. He was like, I heard that you're pay to play, you know what I mean? Like, I heard that. And I was like, dude, I promise you, like, I'm not. And I promise you, like, even if I was, like, I'll do things exactly the way you want me to do them. Like, just tell me how you want me to do things, and that's the way I'll do them. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, just give me a chance. I have all these shows. I started listing off all the national shows I had coming up. Fucking Psycho Stick and fucking
Psycho Stick.
All this stuff. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. You know what I mean? Like, all these shows I had coming up. And he was like, okay, I can take this one, this one, this one. Took a bunch of them. I went to FET, met Daniel, all that stuff. He was like, no, it was, yeah. And then he was like, you can have this. No, Lizzie at the time, I think. And she was like, you can have this, and this. Back to Lizzie, who was Firehouse. You get this, or maybe Daniel was there. This is when Daniel was there. I'm sorry, Daniel had taken over, and I went there, and he was like, "Okay, you can have a couple here," but the rent was so high at FET, it sucked. Oh my god, I lost money on both of those shows. I think I had this dude, this vocalist, like emo dude. I forget what his name is, but you would all know it if I said it, kind of thing.
I mean, that describes a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not very specific.
I had Evan from Vanna in his project Wind and Sails, lost a bunch of money at FET. Yeah, I lost some money at FET. Fun times over there.
Not surprising.
Yeah, but and then I had I think the Deviate took a couple shows too.
Oh,
Deviate
Jesus Christ.
Deviate took the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and a Skylit Drive show.
What the fuck? They played in that small ass room?
We sold it the fuck out like 3
no
times
shit,
over,
it holds
bro.
like 10 people.
We
sold it out by the bands being
We
there.
sold so far past. We sold so far past the capacity that I didn't even tell the agent about the set. You know what I mean? Like, as far as the deal goes, you only have to pay up to the capacity.
Right.
So we paid a bit. We did like the capacity was like 300. We sold like 200. We sold like 300. And then we tossed him like here's a tip. He was like,
here's a tip. What is
Tip stains
I love
cool.
All right, so Mike, so back to your meeting with those guys, the 500 at the top.
And I left, and I moved all my shows behind the curtain, and then I showed back up to Simon's. And like the deal at Simon's when you're an in-house is like usually they just cover your losses if you're in-house. You don't pay for the losses. But the deal I had there was I was in-house, but like he kept a record of whatever the losses was, and I had to pay it back through wins I had on shows. So like I would win on a couple of shows and it would pay off the debt. You know what I mean? And like I would, it's just a fucking honor system. Like I always talk about, it's about respect and loyalty in the scene. And like a lot of venues will give you what's called a tab if you're a promoter. And you just, if you lose 200 on a show, next show you do, you just pay that back and you do better. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. So I owed like maybe $250, literally like $250 on the tab. And I went in there with the $250. I put it down on the table and I said, Simon, I said, I'm out of here. I was like, all my shows have been moved. I was like, that's that. And I wish you nothing but the best, man. But I can't trust anybody around here and I'm out of here. And I literally didn't even want to argue with him. I just walked out of the fucking office. I went back to my car and left. And then life went on. Life went on from there. And then I think that was also, I forgot to mention, like that was in the height of right around that time when I left and all this weird shit was happening. There was a huge Facebook group called Pay to Play in Rhode Island. And it literally caused such a ruckus that, like, it literally messed up and got into Simon's head even. You know what I mean?
What year was this?
I was just about to ask.
Probably
that.
like 2013, 14.
So I'm still a teenager at this
2014, I think, really, to be honest with you, because I think Barbarian was born in 2015, a year after that. So probably around there. But yeah, you know, and I think I got out of that. I really didn't get affected too much by the pay-to-play thing because I wasn't pay-to-play. And the truth is just what always sets you free. So it never, it fucked up shit for me at Simon's, but I went over to, connected with Fett and Firehouse, and they helped me out for a while. And then
I was trying to see if that group still existed.
And then let's see. So we're gonna do some math here for me and the viewers, okay? Like I opened Simon's, right? We talked about that, how I opened Simon's in the beginning of it. And we're open for 3 years successfully together, as one of the most premier venues and really taking storm. As like people were like, other venues were like scared of what was going on. Like we were really, making waves, big fat waves in Rhode Island. And then I left. I left.
I remember.
And they were open for 2 months and they closed. So if you can't do the math and tell me that was the dumbest decision they've ever made, I don't know. I feel like LA Knight, it's the dumbest decision you ever made. But like literally, like what are you doing? Like why did they do that? Like it makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like why they would get rid of me when I had kept the place, literally backbone of keeping that place open for so many years. Makes no sense. Weird politics in Providence. That's why I left Providence a while ago. Transparently, I've said it a million times. Bunch of drama, bunch of fucking he said, she said. I'm sure everybody's heard things about me that I could probably prove aren't true. Like it's just people love talking. You know what I mean? It's weird, and that's what bit the bullet over there at Simon's. And Simon was a little more drama than I thought he was. I guess you know what I mean.
It's a cliquey town. I mean, and as much as like obviously we adore it here, and I love. I love Providence so much, and it is unfortunate that sometimes you have to stick up for it in spite of it, because there are it is a pretty legitimate fault that's true to this day, is that it's a cliquey town.
I remember a point in time in Providence when I was still fucking wide-eyed, super young dude. I was playing in like fucking Knights of Orion, but like at that time, like. To me, at least, like, being, like, a new person to, like, this fucking new scene to me, like, everybody was just, like, together, Like, there was a community, They took me in, who I didn't know what the fuck I was doing as, like, a front man. And, like, back then it was just so much, everybody was so much tighter with each other. It wasn't so cliquey like it is now.
That's unfortunate, but we can thank John DeFuscio, the owner of Okami, for saving Rambudikon, because he held a big hand in saving those shows. And without all them, I don't know if I would have, the support I got from leaving Simon's and people believing me and believing my story and believing in me, you know what I mean, and all that stuff is like amazing on their half. So them taking me in and allowing my shows to keep going and believing in the name Rambudikon was fucking crazy to me. Being 4 years into the company at that point and really just about really hitting our stride, and then the wind gets taken out of your sails. You know what I mean? You really just like, so you try to keep a face with the agents. You tell them where your new homes are. And then you just keep pumping that. And that kind of transitioned very well for me. We had Bury Your Dead and fucking Firehouse 13. We had Amorphous inside
Hell yeah.
Firehouse 13. We had Psycho Stick, Jingling Keys, the whole crowd. I mean, we had some banger shows over there. I threw a banger Rambudifest over at FET with the Acacia Strain, Knock Loose, all the bands, you know what I mean? Like we did some that the whole Simon stuff lit a goddamn fire under my ass. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to do bigger things than I ever did, and I did. I booked the biggest bands I've ever booked after that part. When I got with Psycho, when I got with Daniel at, I learned a lot from Daniel at FET, and I mean, a lot of people say he's a fucking asshole, and he is. You are an asshole, but I love him. He's a good guy. He's an asshole for a certain reason, I feel, and he has little lessons he's got to teach. And I think he's back in Greece now. I'm not sure, but you know, he did teach me a lot about booking. And you know, at that point, well, when I was at Firehouse, the next scandal started. People that just decided that they didn't like me in the scene messaged people that I worked with, telling them that I was stealing money from them and all this stuff, and like all this stuff that like luckily didn't stick because like I wasn't. So like you can tell people that all you want, but if they really think about it and realize that you're not stealing money from them and shit like that, like they just it goes away.
It's a
you know
trust
what I mean?
and respect thing, like you said.
Yeah, exactly, right.
You know,
and that's why they thought they could embellish in the gray area. And just like others have tried to do. That's why my paper trail is so transparent these days. You know what I mean? Because it's lessons like this. You know what I mean? And they really tried to ruin Rambudikon. They really tried to take it down. And they actually also tried to get into my email, which I blocked. I got in there right as they were trying to do it. I got an alert. And, you know, one of those things, I went in there and I changed all the passwords. You know what I mean? Like, I made sure they couldn't get my info and my agent relations and stuff like that. And, like, I still have that email, thank God. Because agents still hit up that email on a regular basis. But, you know, I really have a lot of faith and have continued in this scene because of moments like that when bands were like, nah, Mike isn't doing any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And bands were really just like, nah, and just like didn't buy the bait. You know what I mean? And like it just like made me be like, cool. So, you know, if you're doing the right thing, you'll survive. You know what I mean? It's the people who don't that get demonized and whatever, but it's easy to demonize anybody who's having success, and you want to look for things that they're doing that, yeah, well, they're having successful, but they're really, you know, eating babies or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? But
that's quite a jump.
Yeah. You know, I feel like it's all people are always going to be looking for something, and when they get anything, you know what I mean, they're going to run with it, and that sucks. You know what I mean? That's the sucky part. It's probably why I'm so, you know, hermity these days, because it's just like the more you're seeing, the more people can talk shit. And it's just tiring at my age, really. But either way, dodged that bullet, and that's when Firehouse went down. Firehouse decided that they didn't trust Psycho anymore when Psycho was killing it. Psycho was in the right 100%. And he decided to go and join Davey at his new club called Okami.
The old jerky space.
So I went to get food with Psycho and Winsong, his wife, and Davey. And we talked it out, and he told me he wasn't out to get me, and he would love to do business, and it was all water under the bridge. And whatever he told me, it wasn't his intention that it was Psycho. It was actually Simon that was the bad guy and wanted to bury everybody and not a good dude and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if you know this about me. A lot of bands do know this about me. I'm a fucking sucker for second chances. I love a good second chance story.
Mm-hmm.
I rally for a good second fucking win story. Like this band, nice second win story. You know what I mean? Like,
honestly, yes.
Actually, I'm here for it.
We're a pretty good example of that.
I'm here for it. So,
yeah.
I took their word, and next thing you know, Rambudikon's in fucking Alchemy, and that's where I started doing security, and that's where my security career started and blossomed from. And I worked at Alchemy through the pandemic. Shut down when we needed to shut down, stopped working, came back when we could come back, did safe shows, sitting shows, whatever they told us to do. Did shows through all that.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
So that was a weird time.
That was a really.
I should probably cover that more in depth than glancing. I mean, we did shows through a pandemic. We when the time was right and the powers that be told us that we were allowed to go out and function with masks and whatever else we were wearing, and it was vaccines and stuff now, right?
That was even pre-vax, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. There was definitely like those tentative like.
I
first,
thought
those first steps back like pre-vax for sure.
The vax didn't allow everybody to go out. I thought the vax was the thing that allowed everybody to start going outside.
This was even pre that. It was like kind of the earliest, like, okay, so open but super limited capacity seating only, like et cetera, like these kinds of like, a lot of places were like appointment only.
I guess that's the point. Like we shut down.
Loosened it up.
You're right. We shut down for the pandemic, and then we started learning about what we could do. I think at first it was like we could open with 2 people. You know what I mean? And then it was like, oh, at this point, and then once we got to a point where they said that we could, put 80 people in the building, but they all needed to be sitting. There needed to be tables. There needed to be food served, right? So we were bringing in food from Askew because Askew was open at that point.
That's right. Yes. I remember a couple of.
Or
those.
maybe no.
The whole line.
Maybe it wasn't from Askew. I don't know if Askew was. Yeah, Askew.
Yeah, it was. It totally was. I remember
Those
this.
are my favorite ones from Gen 1. Too.
And we did that, and we survived, and
I think like
we started hosting.
I think that sorry to interrupt. I think a thing that really needs to be said too is that like all of the clubs in like Providence and like like a lot of places everywhere else, but like from what I saw we were all facing like a really bad situation coming out of COVID. Like everybody was losing fucking money, dude. Clubs are still shutting down left and fucking right over here, dude. It's crazy, and like COVID had a lot to do with that.
It really did.
Us shutting down like during the pandemic like really killed a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean there was a point during the pandemic where I didn't leave my house at all for like a few months.
I
didn't leave at all. I was just at my parents' house at the time after a breakup, and they let me stay there for a little while. And then the pandemic hit when I was there, and my mom is like autoimmune or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they were like, "Listen, you can stay here for free, but you just can't leave during the pandemic. We'll take care of your food, everything. Like you can just chill and collect your unemployment that you're getting through the pandemic." And I was like, "Cool." So I just sat there, saved a ton of money, bought a car, moved out, got a place, like all the things. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, that was the thing is after the pandemic was ending and I wanted to get out of that situation of not being able to leave and stuff, Psycho was like, I got a place and you can move into it. And like I ended up moving into it with my friend Casey at the time, female. Or who was my first roommate in there?
That's not the Casey that I know.
What?
This is the Casey that I know.
Casey Caputo. Yeah. I don't know if she was my first roommate in there.
I think she was, because I remember when you moved in there.
Yeah, I think maybe Casey was, and she was the longest standing. She was a great roommate. Always paid her bills on time, clean, good, awesome. And then moved into the apartment. Was able to leave the house at that point and go do shows again. So I was back at Alchemy doing security when we could open and planning shows. And a lot of it was a lot of cool little things I did, like, acoustic shows, a lot of acoustic shows, stuff like that.
I remember the
stuff.
Which one did we? It was like a paper cut one that we all.
I did a paper cut show.
We did the system stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of Paper Cut's first shows, I think.
I did the.
Afterward,
Yeah.
with the Byzantine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that.
Oh,
like
oh.
we didn't play that. It was.
No.
It was a.
We came out of
one of the
it,
sit down.
you know, and we came out of it, and then agents started.
I did anyway.
Well, first when we came out of the pandemic, it was agents hitting me up, and we were setting up. I was getting like crazy offers for crazy bands that never were confirming. You know what I mean? They were testing. They were out testing the waters. You know what I mean? I was like, holy shit! Like fucking Hatebreed hit me up, and they want to do something, and then it'd be like, oh no, they've decided that it's too early to be going out now. They're saying, you know what I mean? Like I was just like,
that's tough too. The rules were changing
was like-
all the time.
they
It
were
was just-
flirting.
a lot of bands had that problem.
yeah,
A lot of-
flirting so
a lot
hard
of-
with
a
me.
lot
It
of
was
us had a
so
hard
bad.
time.
But above and beyond that, eventually it hit, and all of a sudden Alchemy was moving. They were moving down the street to the new location they're at now.
No more stairs, baby.
Thank fucking God, bro.
I hope those stairs are on fire.
So
Those
we
stairs are
moved it
fucking
over
terrible,
there
dude.
to the new location, and you know, all those agents that were hitting me up with all this cool stuff, you know, started really coming through for me, and that was a really good time in my career as well. That was like a third or fourth rebirth. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, all of a sudden, you know, we did a Knock Loose show in the building, and that was well past their time of needing to play a 300 cat venue. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea. Like this was the time where the agents were starting to figure out how many people was too many people after the pandemic. So I was benefiting from it because I had Soulfly, 2 dates, Alchemy. You know what I mean? Like I had bands that usually, obviously, you're playing bigger places. You know what I mean? We're playing. We did Lorna Shore, sold out. I did Bill Murray, sold out. You know, I did Escape the Fate, sold out. You know, we were doing it all at that point. We were doing all the bands that I've ever wanted to book at that point in Alchemy. We were really hitting our stride together. Man, do we really want to get into all this? This is going to get weird.
Let's do it.
Because it was so good. You know what I mean? It was so good. Like I was the head of security. Like we were running a clean ship. Like my crew was on point. Like everything seemed to be very good. Everything seemed to be very good. Rambudikon was popping again, big time. It was great. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't have wanted it to be better than it was at that point. I think you caught some of it too. I remember that's when I started seeing you guys. You were showing up, and like you guys were coming out and being like, "Wow, like this place is sick." You know what I mean?
Come
Like,
hang out.
yeah. Everybody was kind of realizing that you know, Alchemy was a spot to be, and you know, I know Davey is a big part of that. Psycho is a big part of that. But I like to really believe that I was a big part of that, of putting Alchemy on the map. I really think so. I really feel like I had a really big hand in putting them on the map with a lot of agencies, a lot of artists, and a lot of things that help geographically, you know what I mean, through booking and stuff like that. I really think that, you know, they might not say it this way, and I'm sure they got their own story or whatever the case may be, but I really think it was a good 3-headed monster over there, whatever it was, you know. Me and Psycho, I felt we're doing the best job I'd ever seen in booking together as a tandem, just ripping through bands and hosting things that both of us had always wanted to host, and him getting excited and me getting excited, you know what I mean? But there was something going on over there, and that's all I have to say. There was just something behind the scenes going on over there that I, once again, can't put my finger on. We're at this point now, again, where I am thriving, and we are hitting a peak, you know what I mean? And at that peak, all of a sudden, things are just getting fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like people are getting short with me. People are acting different now that we're being so successful. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it's a thankless job, I think.
You know what
I
I
would
mean?
say, which is why I like never want to deal with booking
Yeah.
shows. Is just like it seems like, you know, no matter what, you know, you could do everything right or wrong. It doesn't matter.
It's just
It's
fucking
kind of
stressful,
it's
dude.
kind of a thankless job that it just mostly seems like
Yeah.
people are pissed off at you for.
Well, at that point, I got sat down by Psycho himself. The others didn't want to really address this news to me, I guess, for whatever reason. But I got brought to the basement of Alchemy with Psycho, and he was basically like I don't want to have to do this, and just realize that there's multiple people that own Alchemy, because there's Davey and his wife, and there's Psycho and Winsong, and that's a 4-headed ownership. So, granted, he is just one man. Maybe he agrees with all of them. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I'll probably never know the answer there. But he told me that there was going to be no more managers at Alchemy, and that there was just going to be senior staff members. And that's just the way it was going to be. And whatever. And obviously, he also told me that they didn't really think that I was a good manager, and that I could be a manager, and whatever the case may be. It's most of the time, when you're told these things, when clearly a lot of people felt like I was doing a really good job managing the place and staying on top of this, staying honest. One of the biggest things is staying honest, you know what I mean? Not stealing money from the drawers, you know what I mean? Like, the things that you could really rely on, being on time, being there, never missing dates, like that, all that stuff is what matters at the end of the day for being a manager and coming through and being reliable. Like, the most reliable people is who you want managing and running your business. You know what I mean? It's just easy to start, realizing that, somebody's coming up and they're making a lot of money at this time because they are good at their job. And you want to cut that cost, you know what I mean? And I think that's what it comes down to every time, is like everybody always feels, and cool, like, Alchemy, it seems like they're super successful since I left. I ain't spiting it. I'm not saying like they should go under because I left or whatever the case may be. But there's some weird thing where it's like you're doing so good, and everybody I've ever met is like basically like, I can read it in their eyes. I can see it in their eyes. It's just like, I can do what you do.
We ran out of tape for the audio. You can watch Andrew keep going. He made it to 692 out of 1025 in 2 hours. Impressive.